Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. My name is Thomas Khalil. I'm the former director of MBA admissions and financial aid for my alma mater, the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. In this podcast, I don't promise easy answers or quick fixes, but I will use my decades of experience to help you achieve your education goals. Now let's get started. Welcome to the Admittedly podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Khalil, and today's question of the week, should I have additional recommenders? This is a topic that I discuss frequently with students who come to me, and they'll say something along the lines of, am I at a disadvantage because I don't know any alumni from the university I want to apply to? Or my parents have worked their network and they know all these people who graduated from this school, and some of them are super important, and they want to have them wage a letter campaign or email campaign to the school to get me in. Should we do that? And this gets to something that I refer to as judgment, good judgment, right? And it's not something I refer to. It's something that is actually a thing in the admissions process. And you look at the applicant's judgment. Are they exercising good judgment? And what often happens is when you go after a recommender who went to the school or who is very important, in most cases, they don't know you very well, right? They don't really know you in a context, usually, I'm going to make a broad generalization here, outside of your family, right? And so their impact is really, really, really diluted. Now, let's say you've worked for this person, maybe you watched their children, maybe you mowed their lawn, maybe you started mowing their lawn, they thought you were responsible and hardworking. When you got old enough, they asked you to watch their children. When you got older, they said, hey, you seem to have an interest in the law or business or bench work, lab bench work. Why don't you come either work at my company or I can put you in touch with somebody who I know really well. That's a far more organic growth, right? And they can say, look, I've known Susan since they were 8 years old. This is the capacity. This is the growth that I've seen. We've talked often about their interest in this, that, and the other. And if they can add value, then great. But the secret here is if they're adding value outside of their role as an alum. And that's very, very important. Likewise, if your parents say, look, I know a really important alum and you need to put on your best Sunday clothes and go interview with them so that they can write a letter of recommendation so that they know you. Those letters are really not only lightly regarded, but in some cases can hurt you because they're saying, okay, look, this is just pure privilege. This is purely flexing, relationship muscle, and doesn't tell us anything about the candidate because inevitably, and having read, again, tens of thousands of these, they'll say something like, I've known John's parents for 50 years. They're the best people I could ever imagine. I stood up at their wedding. We were fraternity brothers together in school. And, their kids are just the greatest thing I've ever seen. And they've got great potential. And what does that add when you hear that? It doesn't add much. And so the other thing I would say is those people also have their own relationship with the university that they need to protect. And so they are approached, if you are a high profile member of the board, a trustee, et cetera, you're approached by every single person that even remotely knows you every year. Can you, advocate for my child, my friend's child, my brother's child, my sister-in-law's child, my partner's child, whatever it is. And so those people very carefully guard their relationship with the university, right? Because they have their own people for whom that relationship is very, very, very important. And so if they just send in 20 letters a year, they dilute their impact. And I remember, speaking with trustees, and sometimes they would say, look, I have to write a recommendation for this person. They're great, but it's not a priority for me. You know who is a priority for me? This other person in my organization or my own child, or whatever that is. And that's the person that really matters to me. And, I really hope that they're successful this year because I really think the world of them. So what I would tell you is, are you in a disadvantage if you don't have a hefty Rolodex that you can deploy against recommendations? Absolutely not. Especially in today's atmosphere where schools are really, really trying to be fair and equitable across the board. These kinds of things, these poor decisions where you're roping people in and pushing them to advocate for you, actually count against you more than ever. So be smart, make the right decision in this regard. And parents, I know that it's very, very tempting. I'm a parent. I would do anything to help my children, but sometimes the best thing to do is nothing at all. Good luck this fall. Thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment to subscribe to the Admittedly podcast and download this episode. I welcome you to share your thoughts and questions with me. You can find us on social media at Admittedly Podcast. I look forward to continuing our journey together.